In the pantheon of television storytelling, the trope of the difficult woman has been recycled so many times it should come with a warning label. Shows often lean on these tired cliches to fast-track emotional conflict or paint their protagonists in a sympathetic light, without doing the narrative work. The Chinese drama First Marriage falls prey to this exact trap in its portrayal of Mandy, a woman vilified with a precision so surgical it's hard not to see parallels with one of American sitcom history's most problematic tropes, the Sheldon Cooper girlfriend dilemma, from The Big Bang Theory. At first glance, Mandy in First Marriage seems like a well-rounded character. She's ambitious, intelligent, and emotionally complex. But as the plot thickens, her image warps into that of the stereotypical, nagging, wife. Her nuanced traits get buried beneath a growing avalanche of flaws. She's too demanding, too cold, too controlling. Her character arc transforms from interesting to intolerable at breakneck speed. In many ways, it's less a fall from grace and more of a narrative hit job. And this is where The Big Bang Theory enters the chat. Remember how the sitcom turned Penny from a free-spirited, sweet neighbor into a grumbling, vaguely alcoholic, career-confused version of her former self? Or how Amy Farrah Fowler, initially a breath of fresh, nerdy air, became an emotional ball and chain to Sheldon's idiosyncratic genius? The women in The Big Bang Theory often ended up as foils to the men's charm, or worse, as obstacles to their freedom, creativity, or innocence. That exact narrative mechanism is replicated in First Marriage, with Mandy as the latest casualty. In the early episodes, Mandy's relationship with the protagonist, let's call him Li Wei for simplicity, is complicated but rooted in mutual respect. She's portrayed as a modern woman with traditional pressures, navigating work-life balance, family expectations, and personal growth. But instead of being allowed to develop naturally, Mandy is soon reshaped to suit the storyline's needs. The justification of Li Wei's eventual emotional or physical detachment. This vilification process follows a predictable path. First, her concerns are exaggerated. Mandy wants stability and communication, but this is shown as controlling. Second, her successes are weaponized. When she excels at her job, she's portrayed as neglecting her home. Third, her emotional reactions are deemed irrational. If she cries, she's manipulative. If she remains composed, she's heartless. No matter what she does, the camera and script betray her. It's a trope that The Big Bang Theory leaned on repeatedly to maintain its status quo of lovable but flawed men and difficult women. Leonard's persistent complaints about Penny's lack of commitment painted her as a cold girlfriend, even though she consistently had to deal with his emotional immaturity. Howard's transformation from creepy pervert to lovable husband came at the expense of Bernadette becoming the show's designated screamer. The show expected us to laugh with the men and cringe at the women. And unfortunately, First Marriage borrows this very same blueprint. What's particularly galling about Mandy's arc is the way the narrative deliberately reduces her to a set of stereotypes. She becomes the first wife who never understood him, a cardboard cutout designed solely to justify Li Wei's later choices, perhaps even infidelity or a second, more compatible love. It's retrofitted storytelling, not organic character development. Mandy isn't allowed to be imperfect and lovable. She is boxed into one narrative lane. The woman who had it all and ruined it. This storytelling laziness speaks to a broader issue in both Eastern and Western media. When male protagonists make mistakes, they're flawed but redeemable. When female characters do the same, they become cautionary tales. Mandy, like many women before her, becomes a scapegoat for the male character's growth. He learns and moves on, while she is ridden into irrelevance, or worse, villainy. Why is this so damaging? Because it tells viewers that ambition in women is dangerous, that emotional transparency is weakness, and that the only good woman is the one who quietly supports without complaint. It reinforces the idea that men's journeys are heroic, while women's journeys are either obstacles or tragedies. In a time when audiences are increasingly calling for layered, authentic portrayals of all genders, First Marriage feels disappointingly regressive. It's worth noting that this kind of character assassination doesn't just hurt the Mandy archetype, it also weakens the male lead. Li Wei's journey becomes less about overcoming genuine challenges and more about escaping a narrative trap of the writer's own making. Rather than confronting the actual emotional mess of a strained relationship, he is gifted an easy out. Mandy was bad all along. It's lazy, it's overused, and it's insulting to everyone involved, including the audience. The tragedy of Mandy's vilification is that it was preventable. The story had all the ingredients for a mature, textured look at a relationship slowly unraveling under the weight of societal and personal pressures. Instead, it took the easier route, leaning into tropes that The Big Bang Theory made infamous and that modern television should have long since retired. Instead of nuance, we got narrative convenience. Instead of growth, we got finger-pointing. If there's any hope for redemption, it lies in the backlash. Viewers today are more media literate than ever. They recognize these patterns. They call out lazy writing and demand better. If creators are listening, Mandy's arc could become a turning point, not for her character, sadly, but for future characters like her. Let Mandy be a lesson. Not in how to write a villain, but in how not to vilify complexity. Let's retire the trope book and write new stories that embrace the messiness of real women, and the men who actually grow because of them, not despite them. If you'd like this adapted into a more informal or academic tone, or made into a script or video essay format, just let me know.